Hello to you and welcome to Best Tech, the platform where we educate and inspire youth such as yourself to pursue your dreams. I would like you to do me a favor and smash the like button below like your life depends on it. You know what I mean, right? Now, today we'll be talking about our school systems, specifically the problems with our school systems. In order to understand the problem with our school system, we need to go back to the beginning when school started, and it dates back to ancient Greece, what is called the Platonic Academy. I don't know if you've ever heard of Plato. He is the first to have invented schools, and that was in 387 BC. Plato invented what is known as the first school. By then it was called the Academy, and the objective of the Academy was basically to teach philosophy, that is to encourage creativity, to get them to think for themselves. So it was all about encouraging creativity, getting people to think for themselves, getting people to think out of the box. And Aristotle, who is also another great philosopher, actually studied in Plato's Academy for 20 years before he left, and several years later he formed his own school called the Lyceum. The principle was basically the same. It was all about teaching philosophy, and he also introduced other sciences. And the lectures were free of charge, open to everyone. And there were no such things like evaluations, grades, and all of that. So that is how it was back then with the Platonic Academy and with Aristotle. Now, fast forward to our present day schools, we see that a lot of things have changed. So I'm going to get right on and discuss some of the issues with our school system. The first one being fake teachers. A fake teacher is essentially someone who doesn't practice what they teach. How can someone who is not a medical doctor train medical doctors? How can someone who is not a pharmacist train pharmacists? How can someone who is not an engineer train engineers? How can someone who is not an accountant train accountants? You get what I mean? There is a lot of value in practical experience. If you are someone who is a practicing accountant, because of the experience that you have, you can transmit certain things to the students. The students will benefit more from your experience by actually practicing what you teach. But if you are just like someone who has a master's in accounting, it is true that you may pass on some knowledge to the students, but you would that component of practical experience will be lacking, and it is very important. It is for a good reason that most positions demand for work experience, for several years of work experience, because that is very important. So as a teacher, it is good to practice what you teach. It is good to be a teacher who practices what you teach. Now, the second problem with schools is unhealthy competition. By this I mean grades. I remember years back when I was in secondary school, when someone will receive his test paper and get a 16 on 20, and then another person gets 20 on 20, and you are so pissed off. You are just so pissed off. You are so pissed off despite the good performance that you have, but because someone else has had a better grade than you. All of that is not healthy. Competition in itself is good, but when it becomes unhealthy, when it becomes all about being the best, getting the highest grade, and not actually learning, then there is a problem. And the worst thing is that people actually cried because of that. People actually cried when they didn't get the highest grade, or someone else had a better grade than them. You see the person is twisting their face and all of that. So such unhealthy competition doesn't really encourage learning. And one other thing too is what is popularly known as babia. When results are posted in our universities, posting such grades publicly is not really helpful because it causes depression. There are students who don't do well, and their grades are published like that, made public. It's depressing. And I believe that grades should not be made public. I think it's better for grades to be kept private. When you receive your grades, it's private, and it's better for you can manage the situation better knowing that the results are private. So posting results as such publicly is not the best way to go, I believe. The third issue with school is limited cooperation and teamwork. Team spirit is not encouraged. Most of the times, students tend to work on their own, and that again is fostered by the fact that by the unhealthy competition. There is limited teamwork, there is limited group activities. So it is important to encourage more of team spirit, of the team spirit, because in the real world, you cannot function as an island. In life, you cannot succeed alone. You need people, you need a team, you need to work with people in order to succeed. In such a system, when the top students leave, they are used to doing things on their own. It's difficult for them to get to collaborate with people, and as a result, they tend to fail in life. So it is important to encourage cooperation. Another big problem is that schools don't teach about money. Let's face it. Why do we go to school? I mean, we go to school to make a career, to get a job that we like, and to make money, to put food on the table. That is why we go to school. So why then do schools not teach about how to make money? That's a very good question. Why then don't they teach about how to make money? I think that's very important, but we don't learn that in school. And even few courses that we may have on entrepreneurship, starting a business, all of that is taught by fake teachers. Like I said, those who don't practice what they teach. That definitely is not. The next point is the fact that the syllabi is outdated. This one is a very huge one. I mean, you see us, we learn things that are archaic in the engineering school, in Polytechnic Yaoundé, for example. I remember learning things that are just things that I've not even used up till now. Things that I wonder why we learn such things. The syllabi is outdated, and with all the advancement in technology, the new things that are happening, nothing is being updated. And even right in our high schools, we learn things in geography that of what use is knowing what a crater is to you? Of what use is knowing what a lagoon is? How does that help you? All of these things are not really useful. It is important for us to teach things that are useful, like what Aristotle did in his time, teaching productive sciences, practical sciences. Those are the kind of things that should be taught, things that are actually useful. Then also, students are being taught to memorize. Another problem is that students are being taught to memorize because of the system of grading, the exams and tests. Some of these things are made so difficult. Like teachers don't teach well, such that the students are forced to memorize past questions without even understanding what is going on, just to pass. And there is no learning. There is no real learning. Okay, students are being encouraged to memorize, and that is not a good thing. Memorizing doesn't help. Normally, the students should be taught in a way that they will understand and apply the concepts to a real life situation. Also, it is no news that education is considered a god in our country. Most people believe that once they get a certificate, they are educated, and that's it. And as a result, it makes them to feel that people feel that they know everything. When they get their first degree maybe, or their masters, they feel that they know everything, and they stop learning. But one thing that is certain is that when you stop learning, you stop growing, and when you stop growing, that's when you die. Okay, you are alive physically, you are working, but once you stop learning, you stop growing, and when there's no growth, that means death. So education is not, formal education is good, but that is not everything. And getting a certificate, which by the way is just a paper, is not the end of it all. There is still a lot that you need to learn. And believe me, the certificate that you obtained, by the time you get it, it may not even be useful, because the world must have so advanced that you will need to completely reinvent yourself. Given all of this, does it mean that school is a bad thing? Of course, it's not a bad thing. But the question is that what can you do as a student? What can you do as a student to get that edge? Well, I'm about to share that with you. Some things that I think you should do as a student, so that by the time you graduate, you are well-rounded and ready to succeed in the real world. One of them is reading. Reading is like breathing. There's just no way that you can constantly learn without reading books. And reading is the best way to learn, because you get to, let's say for example, a book that takes years of research to put together. You get to read that book in, let's say, a month. Can you imagine the amount of knowledge that you've absorbed that took years to put together? It's amazing. That is what reading a book, that's how powerful reading a book is. So it's important to read books, and that's where now you can read books on things that you don't learn in school, like on financial education. A very good one is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which I recommend you read if you want to learn about the basics on managing money, on finances. That is definitely a good book to read. And there are other self-improvement books, other books on leadership. As you read that, you get to learn soft skills. There are books on marketing, there are books on psychology. You can read such books to complement your education. Secondly, engage in extracurricular activities. It should not just be all about school. Join a club, participate in a sport. All of these things are good and they look very good as well on your resume. When you're part of a club, for example, you can learn soft skills. You can take up a leadership position and get leadership skills, which will be very useful in when you are looking for a job. They're always in search for good leaders in the job market. Also, you can volunteer in your community. Okay, when they organize little community projects like visiting orphanages, take part in such things. Outreach campaigns like cleanup campaigns, for example. Participate in such things. Volunteer in companies, in companies that are related to your career. Volunteer in such companies. That counts as job experience. They require such experience when you're looking for a job. You will have that, which is good. Take online courses. Online courses are another very good way to complement your knowledge. There are several websites that offer online courses such as Udemy, Coursera, edX. There's a Google Digital Garage where you can learn several things on analytics, digital marketing, accounting, several things. Okay, things that will be very useful. You cannot just do without technology. Even if you are someone who is specialized in the arts, you need technology. You need some IT skills, and you can easily learn such at the Google Digital Garage. And of course, apply for internships. During your school program, search for internships right from the beginning, right from your first year. Start applying for internships. Okay, because with such internships, you equally get valuable experience. One other problem that I didn't mention is that our schools are highly theoretical, so you need that practical experience. Things like these online courses and internships, they give you that practical experience. Even volunteering, they all give you practical experience which you can use, which will be beneficial as you get into the job market. That's what I had to share. As a student, these are the things that you can do to complement your education, such that your time in school will not be a waste. That said, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up and drop your impressions in the comments. And if there's something that I have not shared, maybe a problem also with schools that you noticed, or even something that you think students can do that will help them, that will give them a competitive edge, please do let us know in the comments, because it's important for us to learn from each other, to develop each other, because as we do so, that is the key to us youths becoming good leaders tomorrow, and which will foster the development of our country. So thank you very much for sticking with us to the end, and until next time, Best Tech remains your best bet.